Hello and welcome back to the Mind and Money podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner, and we are releasing this at the perfect time. And speaking as someone who got into business because they loved what they did, not because they wanted to run a business, this is tax time, baby. This is where that shines through. Because as business owners, especially ADHD business owners, we want to share the things that you can do now to actually set yourself up for next year when you say it'll be different next year.
Because if you don't do anything right now, it won't be different next year.
And if nothing changes, nothing changes.
And you're probably sorting through a pile of receipts, maybe from a shoebox.
Or
maybe
a desk drawer if you were me, a deep desk drawer.
Maybe you're going through credit card statement, homing for things that were business related. You're trying to figure out what the fuck you bought from Staples in January of 2025 and you can't remember.
Who did that? Was that me?
And maybe bless your heart if you have your business and your personal transactions all in
Combined.
One bank account and one credit card. Don't worry.
So
it doesn't have to be the same next year.
Let's start there with that point. And my bookkeeper will probably think I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. Okay, well, actually, let's start with that point. Hire your weaknesses. Hire a bookkeeper. It is worth
every penny and probably less expensive than you believe it would be.
Yes.
And worth every dollar. Imagine it's the start of the next year and your bookkeeper sends you your annual summary that you can just pass on to your accountant and your taxes are all done. And they probably send you something every month and every quarter so you can see with very clear facts and numbers what your income was, what your expenses were, and so worth it.
So then to help that bookkeeper separate your personal and your business, because they cannot, as much as I wish they could, they cannot read our minds and they cannot read our transactions and understand, yeah, that was definitely personal. I don't need to include that. So setting this up with a separate business account or 5, we can talk about that.
I'll link those episodes.
Yes. And then a separate personal account, separate business credit card. It doesn't have to actually be a business credit card.
And this is going to vary depending on your business structure and where you live. But if you're a solopreneur in Canada, most banks are going to tell you that you have to have a separate one. But especially if you're functioning like under your name, you can, in a lot of situations, it's okay to have it just be a personal account that's separate and a personal card that's separate, that's not specifically for the business. But as you grow, you'll probably need to transition to more official business accounts. But especially if you're starting out, the key is separation and what's the easiest way to get the separation. And then once you do that, it's important to also be pretty dedicated about this is business, this is personal. You can be that weirdo at Walmart and dividing something into 2 transactions because one's personal and one's business.
It's stuff like that, right? Or your Amazon order. 2 separate transactions. Like do your personal stuff, do it with the credit card that makes sense for that. Do your business, do it with a credit card that makes sense for that.
And Amazon is the worst because if you buy 3 things, maybe it's 1 charge, maybe it's 3. And if they're all on your personal, good luck trying to go through your orders at the end of the year and figure out which ones were business because And we said this with the caveat of help your bookkeeper out by getting these separate things. But even if you're not at the place to hire a bookkeeper, help yourself out.
Yes.
Because if you have to comb through all of your personal statements, bank and credit card, and try and figure out 12 plus months down the road, depending on the timeline of when you're doing this, you are going to dread doing that, understandably so. So having that separation is key. And the other thing, so if you do one thing, do that. Separate bank account. Step 2, separate credit card for your business. Step 3,
actually following it and using them separately.
And the next thing I would say is having a simple system to know how much to put away for taxes. And one of the barriers to know how much to save for taxes is people wanting to save a percentage of their business profit. So they would need to know their income for the month if they're saving on a monthly basis, and they would need to know their expenses.
Where Sherry and I have addressed this as like every dollar that comes in.
It's a percentage of the income that comes into your business, because when you have a percentage of the income that comes into your business going into a savings account for taxes, you don't need to know any other steps. You need to know what is my account balance in my business income account and what percentage am I saving? And a fancy spreadsheet, or a not so fancy spreadsheet, will spit out that number. And then you don't need those other facts. There's no barriers to, there's no, oh, I'll save for taxes after I do my bookkeeping for January. Because if you're listening to this, you're probably not going to be a person that does your bookkeeping monthly. But if you're somebody who wants to be excited for tax time next year, yes, dare I say it, it is possible. Because if you think you need to save 30% of your income and you're saving 32% of your income, that can get you motivated to do those things to get your taxes done next year. Because if you've got an extra $2,000 or $3,000 saved in your tax savings account, then what you need to pay, and also probably you need to pay quarterly remittances depending on how much you owe for taxes. So look into that too. Don't just hoard it all, as somebody who did that once and then got penalized from the government because I thought, ooh, I'm going to make interest on this. And there was messages in my CRA account apparently, but I didn't pay attention to them. But knowing with confidence that you're saving a little more than you need to, it can be you paying yourself a bonus from your business. I have this much saved. I owe this much in income taxes. The difference, bonus, YOLO. What do you want to do with it? Maybe you invest it in something in your business. Maybe you pay yourself a personal bonus and do something fun and exciting with it. Because when you don't have that piece of the puzzle, it then creates fear around taxes because, okay, I don't think I'm saving enough for taxes. I don't know how much to save. I keep having to pull out of that savings account, or I don't have one. And not only does that create fear around taxes, which relates to inaction because of those fears, it can also hold you back either consciously or subconsciously on the revenue in your business. Because if you have this potential client, customer you're having a conversation with, maybe you just put that vibe out there that because subconsciously you're like, I can't have this come into my business because that's going to increase my income and that's going to increase my taxes. It's going to stress me out. I do actually believe that you're resisting higher revenue in your business when you're not prepared from a tax perspective. And I've seen it so many times. When I start working with a client, we have clarity on their money. The next couple months, the next year, their revenue just like shoots up. And I've had a couple that just like month 2, 3 skyrocket. I'm like, how did that happen? Because those barriers that you were putting up came down. And you might like, I'm not resisting money coming into my business. I really need that revenue. Are you sure about that? Yeah. A bookkeeper is one of the first things that I see people hire in their business. And finding somebody that's the right fit is important. Finding somebody that understands you and is going to support you. And they're going to really provide a lot of accountability, which is important for entrepreneurs. Definitely. Special ADHD brains.
So separating things, yes, potentially hiring a bookkeeper, ideally hiring a bookkeeper.
Oh, and also from a tax perspective too, if you work in your home, finding a way to easily track what your electric bill is, what your gas bill is, so that you have that information for your accountant for tax time too.
Your utilities, and actually following through with separate transactions, saving enough for taxes. What I do is with my receipts, I try to have a basket that's visual. So then I get a dopamine from emptying it. And it makes me like, once I got caught up with receipts, it made me a lot more excited to just be like, oh, there's 3 there. I'll quickly put those on QuickBooks. And then I put them in a Ziploc that's labeled for the year.
Yeah. So when you say like doing stuff with the receipts, you're just like snapping in the app. Yeah.
And then my bookkeeper does what she needs to do.
QuickBooks, like it does irritate me that it keeps getting more expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty damn convenient. I know there are other tools that do this as well, but QuickBooks lets you snap a picture of a receipt and it typically automatically connects it. It gets a little messed up when there's like a US transaction that's converted to Canadian and all that, but it automatically connects to say like, oh, you have this bill for $112.32.
Yeah.
I see this receipt. Do you want me to link these two together? It's very intuitive, and it's so helpful and so worth it to have a tool like that, because traditional receipts that are printed on that like shitty paper, they will fade, and you still need to keep them even if you have pictures of them for 7 years. But it can really be helpful
in the event of an audit. You have it there.
Because it's not a faded receipt from 2002 that you can't see anymore. really thinking about what factors are stressing you out the most about tax time and what things can you put in place so it's a lot less of a challenge next year, because next year you will thank you for it. But also give yourself a reward too. Like once you get through all the tax shit you need to do this year, give yourself something to look forward to. When I finish this goal, here is the reward, because that's going to help reduce the resistance to the actions to get the taxes done.
Yes, largely.
And yeah, finding an accountant and a bookkeeper that you vibe with and they don't judge you, but they also don't abandon you and not give you those nudges when they need things from you.
Yes, that's how we would prepare you. I mean, that's high level, but those are the things that you can do now that will help you later.
Next year, you not be stressed the fuck out about taxes. We wish you much success and low stress during your tax preparations, and we hope that you are in a much different position next year. So we hope you have a great day, and we can't wait to see you next time on the Mind and Money podcast.